Hey guys, welcome back to 5nothing100nothing.com. I am Fugget, and that stands for the fittest underdog guru using intelligent tactics. Today, guys, I want to talk to you about a article that got published. I came across my table the other day by Chris Shugart of tnation.com. And Chris is very respected in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, and has a hell of a resume. So he talked about in his article the single most effective tip for fat loss. What can you do to lose fat, and what is like that one thing that is the main determinant of if you're going to lose body fat or not, body weight. So in this study, I guess the University of Vermont had a study in one of these instances, the one he cited, of testing 142 test subjects and had them do a food log. And once a week, they met with a professional to have accountability to show what they consumed. And then they did this for a period of time, and they found that those who actually tracked what they were eating and reported it accurately were most likely to not only lose weight, but to keep it off. So what was really interesting about it is that the goal was to show a sub-maintenance or a below what you need calorie intake so that you can lose weight. So if you don't have enough energy coming in, your body is then going to turn to adipose and body fat, stored body fat, to continue to lose weight. So what was interesting is that was the biggest determining factor of success or results was those who actually stayed on this plan and tracked it. So one of the things that can be a real pain in the ass is the tracking itself. And this is where, if you've ever hired a trainer, or if you are a trainer, you'll understand this, that we can write training programs all day in our sleep, twice on Sundays. But the problem is when a client asks you for a diet, trainers really don't want to get into that. And the main reason they get a little squeamish about it, one could be they may not have the education in it, but more often than not, what happens is they don't want to write a diet for somebody or give some recommendations because a lot of people can't stay on a plan. There's a very high dropout or failure rate. So one of my old friends, who's a power lifter, bodybuilder, and strength coach, Randy Woody, he gave me a really good piece of advice years ago. And he goes, whenever somebody comes to you and asks you for a diet plan, all you need to do to weed out the serious people from those that are just kind of, going to waste your time, and you spend all this time to design this diet and they don't follow it, is to have them do a week-long food diary. Track everything they eat, everything they drink, and measure it and give it back to you. And once they do that, then and only then we write them a diet. So I said, well, what happens if they actually do that? He goes, well, then they mean business. But more often than not, most people are going to go, oh, okay, and you'll never see them again. So you get out of a lot of work, and you don't have to be the bad guy. So if they really want it, they'll track it. So real good piece of advice, Randy. Hats off to you, if I had a hat on. Second concern is the time it takes to track these things. So in this study with the University of Vermont, what they found was that the average participant was taking approximately 23 minutes to write down in a given day. So total time of writing breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever, 23 minutes a day to write this down. Now, they were doing it by hand or possibly on the computer, but they weren't using things like an app. So I imagine with an app, and there's millions of them. They're not millions, but there's a lot of them online or in the app stores, and you can find the one that's the most user-friendly for you and the one you enjoy. But what they found was after the first month, the average time that it took to track had dropped down to 14 minutes. So there's a learning curve at the very beginning. It's a pain in the butt, but boy, oh boy, do you get one heck of a nutrition education when you start reading labels, writing it down, and tracking it. So even those that were trying to stay on the plan but weren't necessarily 100% dialed in with their calorie intake needs for the day, and they might have gone over, because you're staring it right in the face and you're looking at it every time and writing it, you're mindful of it. Okay, you're always aware of what you're doing. There's no mindless snacking. There's no, I think it was this. There was a study years ago that said that the average American probably underestimates their total caloric intake in a day by about 33%. So that means if you think whatever that value is 66, you're consuming another 33% food. So that can be substantial, especially when you're trying to either maintain or lose weight. So I found that pretty interesting. According to the author, though, Chris Shugart, he said what he thinks they missed in this study was the power of accountability. So the thing is that when you have to show somebody something, or you say you're going to do something, you're more likely to follow through and do it. If you have a personal promise to yourself, it may work when you're motivated, but if you don't continue to have a reason or link some pain to not following through on what you said, and you risk embarrassment, there's a good chance that you could drop out because stuff hits the fan, work gets busy, there's a party, there's, someone ordered pizza, what have you. There's always a reason, there's always something going on that could completely derail your plan to get ripped. So some of you might be saying, oh, it doesn't take all that, this shouldn't be that hard. But have you ever seen a competition level bodybuilder? They're following things to a letter to get into single digit body fat. They don't screw around. Like, that is their obsession, their passion, and their focus for a period of time. So, in this study, they weren't asking you to do all of that, to be so micromanaged, but write it down, track it. And more often than not, when you have that accountability and you know that the professional is going to look at it, or you can even just do that with a friend. If you don't know professionals in your area, or you don't want a trainer at your gym or an online dietitian or whatnot, have some accountability to somebody. I think most of my clientele, I have a very high retention rate over the years. A lot of them will tell me, at some point I realized you're an adult babysitter, and you just, you're here, you're looking at your watch, you're charging me, I'm going to show up. It's not just for my charisma and great stories and awesome programs, but I'm sure that doesn't hurt. So anyways, accountability, having that friend or trainer. And you know what, if you've got a big social media following, go up on your Instagram or your Facebook or what have you, and write down what you're going to do. Make a publicly shame yourself when you make all these promises and set your goals, and then daily make accountability to the public. Now, some people will look at it and think you're showing off, but who cares? You do it for you, and you do it to be accountable to somebody. So if expense is a factor for you, don't let it be. You can simply do that and get results as well. So just thought you guys would like to hear about that study. Found it very interesting. I thank T Nation for their summary of that research. And guys, start writing it down, journal, get it written down or get it in your app, and take a look, track your progress, measure your weight, take a picture, and then month to month you can look at some before and afters. If you start and you don't track where you began, you're never really going to know how far you've come. And believe me, you're going to kick yourself in the ass and wish that you had actually got your starting weight, your starting pictures, what have you. Start now, you guys. If you're watching this in real time, we're in the middle of March here, and spring is in the air. So you start now, and you can have a wicked summer if you stay on track. And the biggest thing, write it down, track it. All right, guys, 5-0-100-0.com. I am Fugget, and I am fugging out of here. Take care.